Everything is new again, walking with a permagrin, head so high. I'm back with you and all is right. Shaking on the apple tree, ticking off the honeybees, watch them fly. It's just like we never said goodbye.
Oh, hello. How are you all doing? Of course, I'm NihonTiger. Welcome back to NeoCraft, and I didn't expect you to be here so quickly, so pardon the dust here while I'm moving a few things around. But look, we've got our friend over here, Horatio. Hooray! His name tag is actually sticking this time, it seems like, so that's good. So Horatio is in his little pen, his little happy pen for now with his saddle. And I have a whole bunch of lime-stained clay because we're coming on up here to the manor, and we're going to go ahead and swap out a lot of the exterior stuff here, a lot of the exterior blocks with this lime-stained clay, give it an actual color. And we're also probably going to try and start at least to work on the interior. Maybe we'll finish it today, I don't know. But I figured while I was here doing this stuff, I've got stairs as well. I'll come up here now, so it's nice and easy. But I figured while I was flipping these blocks around, for lack of a better term, I thought maybe we would talk about some stuff, and in particular, there's a few things I wanted to talk about that have been grinding my gears, I guess you could say, recently, if that's a term that perhaps you like to use. And it does involve the other members of the Let's Play community, well, not all of them, but some of them, and something in particular that they have been talking about and what I don't like about it. So, oh damn it, I broke that. I didn't want to break that. I gotta get in their pane as well. Great. So let's do this, and then we'll go grab ourselves another glass. Oh, and I fell. Damn it. Oh, and I placed the block down. I wanted to shut the damn door. Shut the damn door. Okay, but I thought maybe we would discuss this, and it's all kind of got to do with not just, well, one thing in particular has sparked the discussion about YouTube and rights to games, and there's a zombie around here somewhere. I'm going to dig this damn thing up and find him. Where are you hiding? Where are you hiding? Okay, he's back here somewhere. I hear him. I'm getting tired of him. Must be over here. Must be an air pocket I left. There's gotta be a pocket. Oh, there it is. Okay. Hi! Here's the pocket. There we go. I knew I left something somewhere. So, do I have... No, I don't have torches. Crap. I should really light this up. Where I can fill this in with cobble, and then we can never speak of this again. So, this will be a real secret. But I kind of thought today maybe would be a good day to talk about this since it's still relevant. I should get a torch. I'm just going to get a torch. It'll make it easier. I won't waste as much cobble. 2, 3. But it's two words that I've seen used a lot recently in regards to something that's come up. For those of you who don't know, Nintendo has finally come out with the details of their content partner program, which is basically their YouTube affiliation program for people who do Let's Plays like myself. And what they've tried to do is to come up with a way that gives people who play their games a right, I guess, to use the content they've made, but they also have to pay a percentage of their ad revenue to Nintendo. I think it's 70% if you put your whole channel up there, and it's about, let's fill this in real quick. It's about actually no, you get 70% if you have a whole channel that you subscribe to this content partnership thing, and 60% on individual videos that you get back. And this is after your YouTube cut, so it's 60% of what you get from YouTube, and I have seen a lot of... Oh, hi. Hi. I didn't expect you in here. I guess I should have. But we have torches, so we can light this up. But I've seen a lot of back and forth and discussion about what this means and whether or not it's good for the community or it's bad for the community. And the overwhelming consensus from most YouTube people, not necessarily YouTubers, but people who like watch YouTube videos like this one, the overwhelming consensus seems to be that it's the worst thing ever created, and Nintendo should go to hell for even considering it in the first place. That it's insulting, and that the only option is Nintendo forfeits all of their rights to take money off people's Let's Plays and makes it 100% profit, or we should all stop doing Nintendo videos forever until they relent to our unyielding and unwavering decision. So, obviously, there's a lot of discussion about, whether it's right or wrong or what we should do as YouTubers. And there's also been some words brought up in the camp of those who would argue that, yes, we deserve these full rights. And the word that has been brought up, the word that's been constantly kind of bombarding my ears recently is, actually it's two words, it's a phrase. And that phrase is free advertising. And I've heard that a lot. And I see these words everywhere. It's what people are using to justify the value of their Let's Play. It's like, oh, well, we gave you free advertising, so you should bend over backwards and do everything we ask. Or you should just be okay with whatever we do. It doesn't matter. Because no matter what, hey, it's free advertising. And we're doing you a favor. But the truth is, the honest to goodness truth, is that calling what we as Let's Players do free advertising, it pisses me the hell off. It completely and totally undervalues exactly what a Let's Play is. And I will, of course, as you probably have guessed by now, probably try to explain why I think that from my point of view. And I should also probably mention that I have, I guess, a slightly different point of view than most people who do produce content. And part of that is just because of the general nature of my everyday job being in... Oh, hi! Hi, go away. Oh, glad that creeper damage is off. But in the everyday context of my regular 9-to-5 job, which is in the media, I kind of have a slightly different look on things than perhaps the average YouTuber does, since my experience and a lot of other stuff is different. Now, I've talked about things like ethics and self-promotion on YouTube, and I've talked about those in past videos, which I am now putting on the screen for those of you who want to watch those videos. That's interesting videos, they're interesting discussions, but they're not totally relevant to today's discussion. Maybe the ethics stuff is a little bit, but not entirely. So you don't have to watch those to understand what I'm going to be talking about. But if you're kind of curious about more of my idea, more of anything I might think about ethics or YouTube self-promotion, finding your voice on YouTube, those are good videos to go watch on my channel. So they'll also be in the description down below in case you decide that you're interested enough to go watch them. So while I'm doing this, I figured this would be a pretty good topic to talk about, right? So let's first define what an advertisement is, because I think this is very important to understand why I have feelings of negative sort toward people calling their Let's Plays and their streams and whatnot free advertising. So an advertisement, according to, let's see, I got two definitions here. Merriam-Webster defines an advertisement as something such as a short film or a written notice that is shown or presented to the public to help sell a product or to make an announcement, which is okay. It's a pretty good definition. I kind of like Wikipedia's a little better because I think it's perhaps a little bit more encompassing. And now Wikipedia obviously is, it's curated by the masses, and really it's actually curated by a bunch of people who are editors, but the idea here is that anyone can add to it and get their changes approved. But Wikipedia defines advertising as a form of marketing communication used to persuade an audience to take or continue some action, usually with respect to a commercial offering or a political or ideological support. Which I think that's a really good definition of what advertising is, because it kind of encompasses more than just the dissonance sound. Hey, I'll have to say hi to him. But hey, caps are on. Hey, and also Rikui and Zero Dust are on as well right now. So there's 4 of us on here. But I think I like that definition more because it kind of goes beyond the physical realm. It goes into the idea realm. It goes into the realm of, politics and just ideas in general. And I think there's a lot of advertising, especially here in the US. There's a lot of advertising, a lot of political advertising, a lot of, ads that talk about, write your congressman or such and such about X, Y, and Z. And that's all advertising too. It's not just you have to buy a product, it's not just all consumption stuff, but, small developers, as far as what they do for advertising, a lot of them rely on word of mouth. So most of them don't have the budgets that are necessary to do advertising on TVs. That's why, when you see something like, for example, Clash of Clans doing stuff on TV with their app, they're not actually really a small developer. Supercell's not that small anymore. They used to be perhaps one time long ago, but now they've gotten big enough where they have money to advertise from Clash of Clans sales and everything else. So I don't know if I would necessarily say that, they're a small developer anymore, especially not in the mobile market space. They're quite big compared to some of the other ones. But, small guys, independent game developers, people like a Phil Fish, for example, or let's say Devolver Digital, Flambeer. See if I can think of any other good examples. Trying to think of other people whose games I've played, because they're all pretty good examples. Someone maybe like a Sean Beck. They don't necessarily have these massive budgets to go out and buy advertising space on TV stations, much less, your local TV station, which I kind of have an idea of what the costs are for those, and ads are really expensive. Ads are not very cheap. So they rely a lot on, I'm almost out of clay, damn it. They rely a lot on word of mouth to push sales of their games. So I'm going to have to go get some more clay, aren't I? We'll walk and talk. It's good. But they rely a lot more on, word of mouth sales for their games, and a lot of them have kind of found success. Obviously everyone points to Minecraft. Minecraft's a great success. Mojang made a ton of money based mostly on word of mouth and YouTubers playing their game, just because they had a policy that was kind of, I guess you could say, favorable to that, and that's great. That works for them. Bigger developers, your Nintendos, your Sonys, your Microsofts, Activision, EA, Ubisoft, even some of the kind of the middle of the road guys, perhaps like a Telltale, or something like that. Sega. So you think of other kind of mid-level developers. It's kind of weird to think of Sega as a middle of the road developer now, but yeah, they kind of are. They've kind of lost a lot of their market share. But, developers like that, they have, even something like Supercell or King.com, they have money. They have money to spend on advertising. They have budgets. They don't have to worry about word of mouth. Really, King.com does not give a crap about what people say about, the next something Saga game is that comes out. If it's, Super Candy Crush Saga HD Remix 2 Turbo Championship Edition, I don't know. But they don't really care too much about the getting word of mouth. As long as they can get there and promote their product. I mean, holy crap. Clash of Clans just had Clash of Clans and Game of War both just had Super Bowl commercials. And Clash of Clans had one with Liam Neeson. It was actually pretty funny. So, these guys have budgets. They have money. You can see where I've been getting all my clay from. I've been stealing it from this mesa. Just hollowing it out from the inside. But they have budgets. They don't have to worry about spending, a little bit fixed amount of money on advertising, having to spend most of their budget on production costs. They can go ahead and spend big money if they want to, and they're not so worried about, making sure that everybody's playing their game on YouTube. They're just more concerned about people playing their game in general, and usually TV advertising, internet advertising is the best way to do that. So they, they'll do things. They don't need someone to walk through their game to sell it. You don't need to see videos of Call of Duty Ghosts 2 to sell 1 million copies of it. You can just put up some bull shots of the game, some pre-rendered footage that makes it look really nice, throw a Kevin Spacey voice acting clip or two in there, and bing, bang, boom, game sells 1 million copies, you make all your money, and then you can sell all the DLC you want. So usually you have a lot of folks who, because of the small indie game marketing, advertising kind of stuff, a lot of the Let's Players out there kind of get into the idea that their Let's Plays are free advertising for not just, the little games they play, but any game they play. It's free advertising. It's free. It's done out of the goodness of our hearts. It helps them out. It's so good. We're doing you a favor. And, they usually will use, Minecraft. Minecraft is like the single most cited example I've seen in every discussion on GAF and other places I visit. Twitter, everybody points out Minecraft. They point out Gary's Mod. They point out these examples of games that have had this great word of mouth success, and they're like, see, this is the model it has to work. It works for these guys. It'll work for everyone else, and anyone who doesn't agree with this model is behind the times and should be taken out back and shot, or needs to get with it. And I think that's a bit of a misnomer. I think it's not like a bad idea, but I think it's a bad argument. It's like a lot like saying, oh, where's my pick at? Did I really run out of stuff? Damn it. It's a lot like going to, let's say, going to McDonald's. You go to McDonald's and you walk up to the counter and you say, hey, McDonald's, I have told everybody in town that, local cupcake shop, local cupcake shop. That's a tongue twister. God damn it. Local cupcake shop X. Thank you. Has done really, really well. And the reason it's done really well is because I've been spreading word of mouth about how great it is. And look what I can do for this. So why don't you just give me a bunch of free Big Macs, and I will tell everybody, I'll do posts and I'll do videos about, how great the Big Mac is, or, I'll give you at least a fair, if not necessarily, you don't have to give a biased review. You can say, I'll give you a fair review on how the Big Mac is, and maybe I'll drive some traffic to you, get a little bit of win-win for both of us. I'll get the blog hits, and you'll get the traffic into your stores, and it'll be all great. But you really think that McDonald's is going to sit there and say, oh, yeah, great, that's a great idea. Let's give you a bunch of free Big Macs. You can have a free Big Mac anytime you want. No, they're probably going to laugh at you and be like, yeah, right, we don't need you. We have $1 million marketing campaign. We can put a freaking McDonald's logo on the moon if we want to. They probably can't, but you kind of get the idea. They're probably like, we don't need you. We don't need your marketing. We don't need you to help us. And that's true of a lot of big companies. They don't necessarily need word of mouth. Word of mouth helps, but it's not a necessity like it is with a little guy who might need your help just to get, exposure out there. And it's kind of weird too, because a lot of these guys who want to have the, have these companies basically give them free reign to do what they want. They want to be objective, and they're like, oh, well, we don't. This is why I get really miffed at people calling it advertising. They're like, oh, we're totally objective. We're not like these game blogs out there who sell reviews to the highest bidder, which, by the way, it's never really been proven that it's a widespread thing in the community of game journalists. It's just kind of a thing that people get. They get their panties in a bunch about a game not getting a score, and they immediately start thinking it must be some kind of payoff. Microsoft must be paying them to sell this game as being crap. I worked on a small blog for a couple of years. I can tell you I was never once approached by any single developer or publisher alike who promised me that they would, pay me X amount for... Oh, and my pickaxe is back. Damn it. Oh, that's weird. I was never approached by anyone who said, hey, give us a good review and we'll give you X. Never once happened to me, so I don't know where that kind of came from. I think I have my own reasons why people think that, but that's another video. It's another topic for discussion. I might have to say that a lot because I know I've got several things that are going to kind of cross the streams here, but get all this. This might be enough, and I'll have some clay left over, which is excellent. But the thing about advertising and the thing about calling your Let's Plays free advertising and trying to be objective and say you're being objective, advertising itself is not objective in any sense of the word. You are trying to promote a product or sell a product. I mean, go back to the definition. That's exactly what advertising is. You're trying to sell a product and convince people that this is the product they need. This is the thing that they've got to have. They've got to consume this or drink that or use this. Don't use that. That's bad. Or think this way. Don't think that way. That's kind of the entire idea of advertising. And when you sit there and you say that free advertising is what you do, you really devalue your work because you're just saying that the games that you play, the things that you said are positive about that game, are just you saying that because, or at least this is what it feels like to me, it's just you saying that because you're just trying to be positive and you're not actually being sincere about it. Now, there's a difference. Really what we should say, and I'll talk about this a little bit in the wrap-up too, is that what we should say is that these games are exposure. We're giving these games exposure. It's not like, if I have a small band that my friends are playing in, I go ahead and I take that and I put it in an awesome trailer without them, without their permission. I say, look guys, I put this in this trailer and it's got 100,000 hits on YouTube and I've got it monetized and I'm making tons of money off of it. And of course, my friends are going to be like, well, that's great, and thank you for the exposure, but you're using our content and making money off of it without having paid us for the licensing of that song. And I'm like, oh, don't worry about it. You're getting the exposure. The exposure is great. Don't worry about it. It's perfect. No one's gonna forget you guys now. You're gonna be world famous. Just don't worry about it. You got tons of exposure. I don't need to pay you anything. I mean, you could try and do that. You could try to do that with any one. You can try and take someone's work and put it in your game and be like, hey, I put your work in my game and I'm using your sprite assets, and they'd be like, oh, that's great. What are you going to pay me for it? Oh, don't worry about it. I'm just going to give you tons of exposure for your art assets in this game, and they'll just naturally come to you for whatever they need in the future. So it'll be all okay. It'll all be okay. There is some level of exposure in Let's Plays and streams that certainly helps with views. It's not necessarily, it certainly helps with sales. It also helps with views, of course, but it certainly can help with sales. It's not guaranteed to help, though. I've seen people who've done very popular games and it hasn't helped out at all with sales. I've seen very popular LPers who've done games, and sometimes it helps and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it doesn't really raise enough awareness. I know sometimes I've had games that have been brought to my attention because a popular Let's Player has done it, but it doesn't necessarily mean that that was ultimately the reason I was sold on the game. It looks nice. I might need to think of something here now. I'm thinking there's a little bit too much green space in some of these spots, so I might need to do some work. Maybe do some fence posts or something. I'll figure it out. Can always work on that off camera. But when we do, like I said, when we do call out our, we do call our stuff free advertising, when we do say that, it does devalue it and makes me think a lot. Okay, so your ad is no different than the car guy down the street who's trying to sell me on a brand new Mercedes-Benz. Why should I trust you any more than I trust the guy who's trying to sell me on something? Puts that sense of kind of distrust in. I'm trying to think. sense of distrust and kind of a skepticism. Skepticism is the word I'm looking for. Kind of that skepticism a little bit in what we do. And we really shouldn't be putting skepticism in our viewers. I think that's a bad thing. I don't think we should be making our viewers kind of second guess about what we're trying to do with our videos or anything like that. Let me take this with me. Do I have another one? I have another. Yeah, I have another crafting bench. I'll just take that one with me. I think too it is also a bit of an idea of Let's Players who disrespect the idea of other people having rights to any of their content once they make a sale. Basically, there's a lot of people who are like, okay, you made a sale, it's mine now, I can do whatever the heck I want with it, and there's nothing you can do about it. If I want to, as long as I don't resell it, there's nothing you can do about it. Obviously, if you resold the game, that would be kind of another issue altogether. And by the way, you shouldn't really do that. You shouldn't make copies of games and resell them. It's bad, kids, bad. Don't do that. But let me see here. I'm working this out. I think I'm just gonna make this a border, and I'll make the interior maybe like an oak color or something. Oh, okay, that didn't work. But yeah, there's definitely that kind of issue. And when I think about that, I think about back a couple months ago when Twitch was rumored to be getting bought by Google, and everyone was like, "Oh, Content ID is coming to Google. Content ID is coming to Google," and people flipped the heck out. I almost dropped an F-bomb there, but people flipped out like it was the end of the world. And a lot of people were sitting there being like, okay, I'm not going to be able to play my Imagine Dragons and Jay-Z anymore on my channel. And what's going to happen to me? What's going to happen to my viewers? What will they do? I need these songs. I have to have them. And I was sitting there thinking, dude, if you need top 40 hits for your channel to be viewed by people, you got bigger problems than just this Content ID stuff. You got much bigger problems with your viewership if that's what you're relying on. But yeah, I remember that. And people flipped out and they went to Hitbox and they very much got excited and angry and all in a tizzy about nothing, unfortunately, because Amazon bought them and they still got the music stuff anyways. And nobody's really flipping out now because Amazon owns them and they have their Audible Magic stuff or whatever it is that they got on Twitch. No one's really flipping out about that. Some people are kind of sad, but it's not like the huge flip out that people are having about the whole Google. Oh, I gotta get under pain. The Google thing, the Googles. But yeah, there's definitely kind of, I think, also an undercurrent of this where you have people who are kind of not necessarily, I wouldn't say spoiled or feeling like they're entitled. I would just say that they have incorrect ideas about what copyright is and whatnot. And remember, you have people too. There's been issues in the past where game content makers have come to game creators and they've said, okay, we're gonna play this game and we want to cut up the sales. It's not like Yogg Discovery and stuff like that has never happened, right? Totally happened. But that maybe that's also something that might be more worthy of discussion than in a separate video. But as for the actual Nintendo thing with their content stuff that they're doing, it's a beta. It's still a beta, so don't freak out totally quite yet. You should perhaps don't necessarily be like, oh, well, this is a great thing, it's totally perfect and we don't have to worry about it. Yeah, you should probably worry about it. Not necessarily because, oh no, if Nintendo succeeds with this, everyone else will start coming after us too. No, that's not why. There are some issues I have with the way it's set up right now, and I think there's some issues that need to be resolved before I jump on in and say, okay, this is a good idea for me or for my channel. But keep in mind, it's in beta. If you choose not to participate in it, if you choose to do what most people are claiming they're going to do, which is just not cover Nintendo games anymore, and we'll give them a media blackout, and then they'll change their minds. Yeah. But if you choose to do that, then you kind of choose to forfeit your input on, I was going to say your opinion, but no, kind of your opinion, but your more or less your inputs on what the beta program should eventually transform into. And then you really don't have a right to you do have a right to complain, but I don't necessarily have to take your opinion very seriously in all Porikui. I don't have to take your opinion as seriously when in 4 months time this thing goes from being in beta to actually being live, and it's still something that you don't like, and you're still going to sit there and complain about it. I mean, if you can do something about it, you can take part, you can voice your opinion, you can write to Nintendo and explain what you don't like about it, what they could do to fix it, or you can sit there, do nothing, and just kind of deal with being screwed over in a way you don't necessarily think is positive. But hey, it's your choice, it's not mine. It's also perhaps, I guess, a little bit of a cultural thing too. Nintendo's really, when you take a look at, I'm not trying to say, hey, this is a good thing, but really when you take a look at some of the other Japanese companies, most of them have little to no interaction with a lot of these Japanese companies, and their Japanese divisions really don't have a lot of contact with the Let's Playing world, because Let's Playing's not really a big thing in Japan. From everything I've ever read about it, it's more of a Western thing. So when you take a look at the other companies, take a look at Sega, they don't really allow Let's Plays. Capcom does, but that's mostly spearheaded by Capcom USA. They're the big ones who are kind of big into pushing, even the involvement in the fighting game community. That's really, when you take a look at it, it's really Nintendo of America and Capcom USA are really the ones, as far as fighting games, that are really into it. So say what you will, but the Japanese companies are kind of really cool on the whole. And cool, I don't mean cool as in, oh, that's awesome. I mean, like, we don't really want to touch this with a 10-foot pole, kind of as it relates to Let's Plays and whatnot. Like, I can't really think of one besides Capcom and maybe Nintendo that would allow Let's Plays. I mean, not Konami doesn't really have a policy on it. Koei Tecmo doesn't. Square Enix does, but it only applies to Western studios. Hudson's dead, unfortunately. Rest in peace, Hudson. I miss you. But yeah, I think it's a cultural thing, and I think it's one of the big things too with Nintendo that they have to overcome is just this cultural difference they have. Even NOA is run by Iwata, so they still kind of have to deal with the difference in culture. There's a big difference in culture between what Europe and North America do as far as gaming on the internet and what Japan does. So that's kind of a bridge that needs to be crossed at some point. But really, no matter what we as Let's Players do, we're giving a game exposure no matter what. And I guess you could say it's indirect advertising, but we also really have to recognize that we have to recognize not just that we're giving these games indirect exposure, but to me, I feel like we have to recognize that our content can be more than just advertising or indirect advertising or whatever you want to say. It's not just free advertising, and to say it's free advertising is to really put down what kind of a medium this can be, what kind of a beautiful medium. We want games and we want Let's Plays to be taken more seriously, but we automatically default to this free advertising idea as soon as something comes up that threatens our cash cow. And we also have to recognize, I think, too, that different companies are going to have different ideas on what YouTube and Let's Playing and streaming are, and they're not necessarily all going to be the same. It's not, I kind of like that, but it's not necessarily all going to be the same kind of pie here. Not everyone's going to be like, oh yeah, this is cool, go ahead and do it. There's going to be some people, there's going to be some resistance, and we're going to have to try and convince them through positive means that perhaps, it's worthwhile, it's beneficial to the community, and not just through sales, but that it's a good thing in general, and they shouldn't be afraid of it. And we should also kind of recognize that this isn't going to change in general until we get a court case. And that it's a good possibility if it does go to court that we could actually lose and Let's Plays could go from being this gray area to being a straight black area where it's no longer a livelihood for people. It's no longer a thing that people can do, maybe even for fun. I don't know. I don't know what the Supreme Court might say one day about Let's Plays if it gets to that kind of point. But we don't have any idea, and I don't necessarily think we should push it to the point where it's kind of us or them, and it comes down to being them. But really, the big thing is that the internet's not a huge free-for-all Wild West style like it has been in the past, and no matter how much some folks really want that to be, and how much they would think that makes things really easily. Or it makes things really easy, not easily. I don't think that's the way it should be, because we kind of have to have some structure to. How did he kill himself? Kind of has to have some structure, or else I could go and find some really popular YouTuber and just upload their videos and claim them as my own and monetize them, and then. Or if someone took my videos and put them on another website and streamed them, I don't think it'd be very fun. I wouldn't enjoy that. But as someone who works in the media, it's not cool when people just come in and they take our content that we put on our website for the place I work at. And this has been a problem. They take our content and they put it on a blog, or they put it somewhere else where they've copied it. And this was a huge problem for a very long time until we decided to put up a paywall with a limited number of stories you could read for free every month if you weren't a subscriber. But we had issues where people were legitimately taking everything that we wrote and putting it on a blog for people to read for free, and taking all of our advertising, and we were losing money. We were losing money in a lot of places, and it affects people's livelihoods when this happens. It affects in my example, it affects my job. I could one day lose my job if people aren't reading enough stories and we don't get enough advertising. Yes. But yeah, I've seen a lot of places have cut back on, just my sector alone. A lot of places have cut back on jobs, and I know it can definitely affect other people too. It can affect people, everyone took music off the internet and just streamed it, not like, streamed it for free or something, like Pandora does, but like stole it and didn't pay anything for it. And they said, well, all these artists don't deserve any money because look how rich they get. Well, they get a lot of their money off tours, and a lot of the album sales don't just go to artists. I mean, artists get a premium. They have a contract. They get paid for an album. They get their money and they're out. A lot of the people that get hurt are really like the sound mixers and studio musicians and people of that nature. The smaller people on the totem pole are usually the first ones to get hurt in these kind of situations. So, it's just my opinion on it is just from my personal experience. There has to be some kind of okay from the people whose content you're using, whether it's a blanket okay, like a Flambeer or Devolver Digital gives, where they're like, okay, just go make content off our stuff. That's cool. If somebody wants to be compensated for work that we did off of their stuff, we should probably ask ourselves first if we want to do that, and if we don't, then we shouldn't use their content. It's as simple as that. I know a lot of artists have permissions to do stuff like Approaching Nirvana, Zircon, Big Giant Circles, and all of them. They have 3 short. Dang it, I'm actually a little bit more short than that, but they have permissions. They allow you to do that stuff, but you have to buy their songs first. So they're still getting paid for their songs, and they say, okay, once you buy our songs, or if it's a free download, you can download it for free. But once you take care of that little basic step, then you can use their songs and whenever we want. Whatever you want, as long as, well, sometimes some of them have different requirements and stuff. I know Zircon has an additional requirement if you're number 2500 year off your stuff, and you have to get a license from him, commercial license, which is okay. That's fine. I don't, so I don't have to worry about that. But yeah, long story short, this whole thing wraps around to stop calling it free advertising, guys. Stop calling your Let's Plays free advertising for anyone and everyone, unless you actually want it to be an advertisement. Call it exposure, call it giving people the opportunity to look at your work, whatever you want to call it. Just don't call it advertising. And don't treat it like it's advertising either, because that's not what Let's Plays should be. They should be about playing games, having fun, walkthroughs, stuff of that nature. I keep walking away because I think I was going to go do something and I don't. I just got to wait for these damn trees to grow now. But I think that will actually end this episode here. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for listening, paying attention. I know we didn't do super ton today. We got the outside of the old manor up there pretty much done. It's a nice green color. A nice Granny Smith apple, I guess. I almost said Granny Apple Smith, which is a name of a person, probably somewhere. But it looks good. And next time, I don't know what we're going to do next time. We might work on some more stuff back there. There's some additional work that I want to do back there. I have a little bit of a blacksmith shop I want to set up there. There's another house I've been working on with a really unique roof design. Back near the manor is going to be a central kind of plaza back there. Got some cathedrals and stuff to build. We got a lot of stuff still to do here at Kotzegard, and I've got some surprises in store as well. So when you come back next time, I'm sure this place will look a lot different. But thank you for watching. Good luck. Good mining. Have fun, guys, and I'll see you next time here on the NeoCraft server.